So the story begins in 1944 in Finland, where we are told that the Second World War is ending and all the soldiers are returning to their own countries. So Nazi Germany is also ordered to leave Finland, but before leaving unoccupied Finland, they destroy all the roads, bridges, and communication. Then we see the Finnish commando named Korpi in Finland's forests, who stayed there after leaving his peaceful life. After the war ends, Korpi begins to live in the forest with his loyal dog and a horse. One day, Korpi spots some pieces of gold in a river, so he thinks there might be a gold quarry nearby. He starts searching every day to find more gold. Looking at the fighter planes overhead, he begins digging trenches around the river. After digging for many days, he finally discovers a significant amount of gold in a trench. Seeing it, he runs with joy because he knows his life is about to change forever. Korpi hides the gold in his tent. That night, he wakes up afraid that someone might steal it. The next morning, he puts the gold in a bag, saddles his horse, and sets off with his dog following behind. After traveling for a few hours, Korpi comes across General Bruno of the Nazi army, who is moving with his soldiers. Bruno also has a dangerous tank and has kidnapped many Finnish women who are being taken along with him. The soldiers constantly mistreat those women. We then see a soldier named Wolf who notices Korpi. Wolf informs Bruno, but the other soldiers ignore it and continue moving forward. When Wolf comes closer to Bruno and starts to explain about Korpi, Bruno brushes it off and says the man is going to his death anyway, as a piece of their territory is being taken back. Korpi continues on his way and passes many corpses. The Nazi soldiers were retreating from the country, but Korpi doesn't care about the dead. During World War II, he had also seen the deaths of many people. As Korpi continues, he comes across a truck filled with Nazi soldiers. They ask him to get off his horse and check his bag, where they see the gold. One of the soldiers thinks about keeping the gold for himself. They return the bag to Korpi and prepare to kill him. Korpi, sensing danger, tells his dog to run away. The dog is shot at, but the bullets miss and it escapes. A soldier then tries to snatch the gold while mocking Korpi. In a flash, Korpi pulls out his knife and slits the soldier's throat, killing him instantly. The other soldiers rush to attack him, but Korpi moves swiftly, using his knife to defend himself. He even uses a soldier's body as a shield against bullets. He hits another soldier with a helmet, and when one tries to stab him from behind, Korpi twists his hand and kills him with his own weapon. When Bruno hears gunshots, he returns to check, but Korpi has already escaped. One of the soldiers finds a piece of gold that Korpi dropped. Bruno and his men realize that an old man is carrying gold, and Bruno decides to hunt him down. Soon, they spot Korpi on the road and try to chase him with their tank. Korpi increases the speed of his horse and escapes into a minefield, which the Nazi soldiers had previously laid. Bruno arrives at the minefield and, mocking the situation, tells his men that the man is doomed to explode. Korpi's horse steps on a mine and gets injured in the blast. Although Korpi survives, his horse is badly wounded. Bruno approaches and sees that Korpi is trying to carry the bag of gold. Bruno pauses to watch what Korpi will do. As Korpi appears to lie down on the ground, Bruno orders his soldiers to capture him. But Korpi, already prepared, throws a rock at a mine, causing a massive explosion and smoke. In the chaos, he vanishes. The Nazi soldiers begin firing blindly into the smoke. Korpi cleverly uses the smoke to slip away undetected. Bruno then sends a soldier to check the area. The soldier accidentally steps on a mine and dies. Seeing this, Bruno sends 2 more soldiers, who also die in the explosion. When the smoke finally clears, they realize Korpi has escaped. Bruno becomes furious. He then decides to use the Finnish women to clear the minefield. Wolf chooses the toughest woman and forces her to walk ahead of the tank. Meanwhile, Bruno checks the area where he finds Korpi's dog tag. A short time later, they all move through the minefield. While doing so, Bruno uses the tank's radio to call his superior for information on Korpi. The officer on the other end tells him the name of the old man and warns him, if you're chasing him, you're lucky to be alive. Korpi was the most dangerous commando of World War II, and no one wanted to recruit him. The Russian soldiers had killed Korpi's family, which turned him into a ruthless warrior. From then on, his superiors stopped giving him orders and sent him alone into the forest to hunt Russian troops. Since then, he has killed more than 300 Russians single-handedly. The officer finishes by saying, everyone thinks Korpi is immortal. You should not chase him. But Bruno is undeterred. The Nazi soldiers are desperate, knowing they are going to lose the war. Bruno wants to use Korpi's gold to secure his future. He's willing to do whatever it takes to steal it. Meanwhile, we see Korpi hiding behind a water truck. He lies behind it to stay hidden and cleanse the dust off his face. His dog also finds him, but remembering Korpi's command to stay away, watches him from a distance. Korpi is badly injured and his eyes are half closed. After a few hours, the Nazi soldiers come searching, using dogs to track him. Korpi hides under the truck and cuts open the truck's fuel tank to mask his scent. The Nazis, unable to track him, stop to regroup and form a new plan. But as Korpi tries to escape, one of the dogs spots him and starts barking. The soldiers begin firing, injuring Korpi, but he still manages to run into an alley. Bruno then releases his dogs to chase Korpi. Korpi dives into a nearby lake to escape. The soldiers fire into the water, but Bruno stops them and tells them to wait until he resurfaces. As Korpi emerges from the water, they shoot again, and he ducks back underwater. Soon, they see blood rising, thinking they've hit him. Bruno sends 3 soldiers with a boat to recover the gold. One soldier dives into the water with a dog, but Korpi grabs him and kills him with his knife. The water turns red with blood. Seeing this, Bruno sends another soldier into the water, but he becomes scared and refuses. The 3rd soldier also panics and stays away, afraid to get in. Bruno gets angry, shouting orders. Suddenly, Korpi bursts out of the water and uses the dead soldier's body as a shield while escaping from Bruno once again. Korpi's dog stands on the edge of the lake, crying because it couldn't follow its master into the water. Watching from the shore, the dog helplessly howls. Meanwhile, Korpi reaches the opposite side of the lake. After walking for several hours, he finally arrives in a town, but it's completely destroyed by the Nazis. Everything is in ruins. Exhausted and in pain, Korpi decides to rest at a nearby gas station. There, he tries to sleep despite the agony from his injuries. He recalls the day his family was taken from him, the pain still fresh in his heart. As he drifts off to sleep, haunted by memories, a noise wakes him. It's the sound of his dog barking nearby. Korpi immediately rises and reunites with his loyal dog, but he quickly notices something alarming. A stick of dynamite is strapped to the dog. Reacting fast, he removes the dynamite, but just as he does, he is struck hard and knocked unconscious. When Korpi regains consciousness, he finds himself face to face with Bruno. He has been captured. Bruno stands over him, and Korpi's bag of gold lies beside them. Bruno takes a piece of the gold and arrogantly slips it into his pocket. He then begins to torture Korpi. He nails one of Korpi's hands to a wooden plank, then does the same to the other hand. The pain is unbearable, but Korpi doesn't scream. Bruno and his soldiers leave, thinking they've finally finished him. Meanwhile, Korpi's dog lies nearby, waiting patiently through the night for its master to return. As dawn breaks, Korpi manages to free himself. Korpi leaves his dog behind for safety and climbs onto the plane. The pilot takes off with Korpi secretly clinging to the undercarriage. Meanwhile, Nazi commander Bruno and his men discover the wrecked plane and the dead pilot with a rope around his neck, a method they recognize as Korpi's. They realize he is still alive. Bruno orders everyone to retreat. He knows now Korpi is unstoppable. Back on the road, 2 Nazi soldiers guarding Finnish women in a truck speak about the legend of Korpi. One woman reveals that Russian soldiers had tried to kill him before and failed. She explains that his name, SISU, means unkillable determination in Finnish. No matter what, he always comes back. Suddenly, Korpi attacks again. He pulls one soldier under a tank, crushing him. Then he leaps from the ground, overpowers the second, and kills him too. He climbs onto the truck, frees the women, and drives them towards safety. But the Nazis in the tank become suspicious. To deceive them, the women use the bodies of the dead soldiers to cover their identities and approach unnoticed. When close enough, they ambush the Nazis, killing the tank driver and gunners with precise gunfire. Meanwhile, Bruno, operating another tank, sees what's happening and fires a shell at Korpi's truck. Korpi is thrown off by the explosion and momentarily stunned. Bruno gets out of the tank and fights Korpi hand to hand. They struggle violently, rolling across the battlefield. Just when it seems Korpi might lose, knocks him to the ground and finishes him off with a brutal move. Korpi finds a motorcycle and chases the last remaining Nazis to an airstrip where a plane is ready for takeoff. Bruno tries to bribe the pilot, but there's only one seat. Bruno betrays his partner, shoots him, and boards the plane alone. But Korpi isn't done. He rides full speed toward the aircraft and hurls his pickaxe into the landing gear. Holding onto it, he climbs his way inside the bomb bay, mid-air. Inside the plane, the pilot hears strange sounds. Bruno dismisses it, saying it's just the old plane making noises. But the pilot is uneasy and goes to check. Korpi is waiting. A final brutal fight breaks out in the bomb bay. Korpi, exhausted and wounded, takes a beating from Bruno. At one point, Bruno attacks Korpi with a metal belt, but Korpi counters, grabs a bomb chain, and hooks it to Bruno. In a savage move, he pulls the release. He explodes in midair, but now the pilot is dead too, having been killed during the chaos. Corpy is left alone in the doomed aircraft. He straps himself into the cockpit and braces for impact. The plane crashes into a marsh. For a moment, it seems Corpy is finally dead, but he emerges, bloodied, soaked, and dragging his pickaxe. His will is unbroken. Later, Corpy reaches a bank in the city of Helsinki, dog at his side. Civilians part in fear as he enters. He steps up to the counter, slams his satchel on the table, and spills out the gold, now in smaller pieces. The stunned banker stares. Corpy simply nods. Fade to black.